Hello, my smart students out there. How has it been? I'm glad you're doing great. So we have a lesson on the subject literature and English language for SS2. And the lesson for today is revision on figures of speech. I know this is a topic you must have learned in your SS1. So we are going to have a revision on figures of speech, and I'm still Mrs. Helen Okereke, your teacher in literature in English. And at the end of today's lesson, you're expected to at least define figures of speech, identify the various figures of speech that we have. You know, there are many of them. So at the end of the lesson, you should be able to identify some of them, explain them with examples, you know, because there's no way you can discuss figures of speech without examples. And then you should also be able to write exercises on them, on the topic. Okay, so what is figure of speech? What is figure of speech? You know, it's actually maybe very difficult to get a particular definition of what figure of speech is, but you know, but there's a way we can go about it. We can say figure of speech are those devices that we use to apply or employ in writing, you know, to make our writing very vivid, clear, easy to understand, and creative also. So we have numerous, like I said earlier, we have numerous types of figures of speech. We have metaphor, we have simile, personification, oxymeron, we have pun, we have alliteration, we have consonants, we have assonants, we have synecdoche, we have metonymy, we have paradox, and the rest of them. So we are going to discuss some of them in the lesson. So pay very good attention to the lesson so that you can be able to, so that you can get the main points of the lesson. Now, the first one we are discussing now is metaphor. So we say metaphor is direct comparison of things without the use of like and as. It's as simple as that. You know, because simile also compares like metaphor. But in metaphor, we don't use like and as we use in simile. So in we can say that Aba is the Japan of Africa. That's metaphorical. You know, so if it were to be simile will say Aba is like Japan in Africa. Aba is like Japan in Africa. So he said Aba is the Japan of Africa. And you can see the comparison here. Aba is an industrialized area just like Japan. So I guess that is where the comparison is coming from. We have another example. He was a lion in the fight. He was a lion in the fight. Simile will say he fought like a lion. Or metaphor will say he was a lion in the fight. That means a person fought, you know, bravely, boldly, strongly like a lion, because we all know that a lion is a very strong and powerful animal. The second one we have is simile. Simile, like I said earlier, is also has to do with comparison of things, but here with the use of like and as. So anywhere you see as this, as that, or like this, or like that, just simply identify it as simile. Remember, in external examination, you're going to answer questions from figures of speech. So it's important that you know them, you know, and that's why we are trying to, you know, I'm trying to revise on this, because I know you've learned it, but it's necessary you also recollect some of the things you've learned in figures of speech. Okay, we have examples here. We have he fought like a lion. Okay, instead of saying he was a lion in the fight, we have he fought like a lion. Okay, another example says that little girl is as quiet as a dove. That little girl is as quiet as a dove. So you can see the comparison between a human being and a dove with simile. Okay, the next one we have is personification. Now personification occurs when we give human attributes to inanimate or lifeless objects. When human attributes are given to inanimate or lifeless objects, we call it personification. So we can say the sun smiles heavily on us. The sun, I don't know how many of you have seen the sun smiling. Okay? Bright peace. I don't know whether you've seen the sun smiling before. You know, so it says the sun smiles heavily on us. So that's personification. Here, a human attribute is given to an inanimate object like the sun. Okay. We also have another example. The leaves wave their hands. The leaves wave their hands as the breeze blows. The leaves wave their hands as the breeze blows. I don't know how many of you have seen the leaves waving their hands before, but this is just the action of the leaves when there is wind or when a breeze is blowing. So that is personification. You can also identify some other examples of personifications on your own. Okay. So we have discussed we've discussed metaphor, we've discussed simile, we've discussed personification. Another figure of speech that we have is known as hyperbole. Hyperbole. So this is an exaggeration or overstatement used for the sake of emphasis. You know, sometimes we just exaggerate for the sake of emphasis. Not that that thing is really the way it is, but you know, just because they want to express, you know, something in a way, we use hyperbole. So we have, I owe you a million thanks. I owe you a million thanks. So you can imagine a situation where you begin to thank somebody once, twice, thrice, until it gets to a million times. Is it possible? It's not possible. So that's why we call it exaggeration or overstatement for emphasis. But, you know, you're just using it, you know, to express the level of appreciation, you know, for what someone did for you. I owe you a million thanks. We can also say, I ate a mountain of fufu. I ate a mountain of fufu. You know that there's no way someone can be so hungry as to eat a mountain of fufu. But no, because you want to express the level of hunger, you know, before the feeding. So you say, I ate a mountain of fufu. That means you are so hungry that you ate much. So that is what we're trying to say there. So we call it hyperbole. Okay. The next one we have, the fifth one, is called onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. Okay. So we have, this is another device of sound in which words are used to imitate natural sounds. You know, onomatopoeia has to do with sounds, you know, using sounds, you know, to represent the actual thing being talked about. So we have the booming of a distant gun can be rattling. The booming of a distant gun can be rattling. Another example is the door shut with a bang. So we have booming and bang as two onomatopoeic words in those examples. The sixth one, we have irony. In irony, the speaker says the opposite of what he or she means. No, so we say ironical statements. You know, we also have dramatic irony. That one is usually seen in plays. You know, so we have examples of ironical statements. We have a great team indeed. That's the first example. We have a great team indeed. We lost 10 matches and won only one. So you can see that the team is not actually great indeed. You know, so it's an ironical statement. We have a great team indeed. We lost 10 matches and won only one. So how can a team be great and at the end of the whole match, the team loses 10 matches and wins only one? So that means the team didn't do well. The team is not great after all. Another example we have, behold the giant coming. Behold the giant coming. When in actual sense, the person is short. So that is another. So when you say, behold the giant is coming, the expectation is that, someone tall, huge, big, is coming in, but only for you to look and behold, what you're seeing is different from what is being said. Ironical statements are usually very funny, but they have meaning in themselves. Now we have the seventh one, which is Oxymerol. Oxymoron is a figure of speech that states a fact by using two expressions whose meaning are opposite each other. We can say that oxymoron is the placing side by side two contradictory words in a sentence. When you have two opposite words being placed side by side in a sentence, we call it oxymoron. It's very common in literature. It's very common in figurative expressions. So we have examples there. It is cruel kindness to allow a child to play with a harmful object. It is cruel kindness to allow a child to play with a harmful object. Now we can see in this sentence that we are seeing two opposite words, cruel and kindness, you see, coming together in a sentence to make a meaning. What makes it cruel? For an adult to allow a child to play with a harmful object is cruel. But sometimes also, adults may allow a child to use an object, as a kind of, maybe being compassionate. I don't want the child to cry. I don't want the child to feel bad. Like you just imagine a situation where a child is holding a blade. And in the mind of that child, that blade is just like a mere object, just like any other object that he or she can play with. So, and when you try to remove the object from the child, you discover that the child will cry. Some of them, will be, violent. They wouldn't want you to collect that thing from them. But being an adult and an adult who knows that object is harmful, is necessary that adult, should remove that object from the child so that the child does not harm him or herself with that. So that is where the cruel and kindness are coming from. Okay. The second example says, what you have just told me is an open secret. What you have just told me, and information can be an open secret. How? When someone when someone has an information that he or she thinks that no one knows about it. But the ironical thing there is that the person might discover that the secret per se is not, the secret, so to say, is not actually a secret after all, that many people around have known about the information. So it's not actually a secret. Okay. So, or probably, people know about it, but nobody's talking about it. It's just like a hush-hush kind of thing. So nobody's talking about it. Then another example there is, I was greeted with a loud silence when I entered the class. Loud and silence. Two contradictory words or two opposite words placed together. That means the class was absolutely quiet when I entered the class. That's the meaning. The silence in the class was obvious. So that's for oxymoron. The next one we have is euphemism. Okay, euphemism, why hyperbole is an overstatement, euphemism is a kind of understatement intended to minimize or cover up the unpleasant nature of something. So we have examples, the man has passed on. So instead of saying the man died, so they say the man passed on to make it lighter. Then another example says, may we never encounter the gentleman of the road. The gentleman of the road there is talking about armed robbers. So in order to minimize or cover the unpleasant nature of the expression, we say gentleman of the road. And in some cases, someone may not even understand what you're talking about. Another example is he is economical. He is quite economical with the truth. He is quite economical with the truth. That means someone that is economical with the truth is a liar. So instead of, not bluntly calling the person a liar, you can simply say he or she is economical with the truth. Okay, paradox. I like paradox a lot. Somebody may be asking why, Paradox is a witty kind of statement that seems contradictory or absurd at first. That thing is at first. Please don't fight. At first. F-I-R-S-T, but is well-founded or is known to be the truth. You know, sometimes when you see a paradoxical statement at an instance, it may look contradictory or absurd. Sometimes it may even look ununderstandable. But the truth is that there is truth in paradox. We have an example, a popular example there. The child is the father of the man. The child is the father of the man. So when you say the child is, I remember the first time I heard those statements, I was very confused. I was like, the child, the father, the man, what is this sentence trying to explain? But, you know, but it's quite simple. You know, when you say the child is the father of the man, of course, a child will one day grow up to become the father of a man. That's what it's trying to say. That means nobody will remain a child forever. You know, a child will grow up, get married, become the father, and have children who also grow up to become men or women. So we say the child is the father of the man. So another example is more haste, less speed. Okay, you can also discover some other examples on your own. You can look up, you know, figures of speech. You can Google them. Now that you're home, you have access to internet. You can Google figures of speech. You see so many types, and with the examples. You can also check the dictionary or any good textbook around you for that. So that is for paradox. Another one we have, the 10th one, is Synecdoche. Synecdoche. Now, this is where a part is used to represent a whole. A part is used to represent a whole. That's Synecdoche. For example, I saw a beautiful face behind the counter. What is underlined there? A beautiful face. What is it represented? A lady. Okay. I have many mouths to feed. I have many mouths to feed. Mouth is being underlined as the word there. And what is mouth represented? People. Probably the person that is making that statement has a lot of people around him or her that he or she is taking care of, feeding. Okay, another example. All hands must be on deck. All hands must be on deck. What is being referred to there? People. Hands. Referred to people. Metonymy. Also, okay. Metonymy is also a sister to, I will call it a sister to synecdoche, because sometimes students get confused about examples of synecdoche and metonymy because they are somehow related and they are somehow similar, but they are not the same. So this is where an object or person is used to represent what it or he or she is closely associated with. Okay, synecdoche is using a part to represent a whole. Then in metonymy, this is a place where an object or person is used to represent what it or he or she is closely associated with. So we have, in metonymy we have, the pen is mightier than the sword. The pen, metonymy says the pen is mightier than the sword. Okay? So we can see that the pen represents the writer. The pen is associated with the writer, and the sword is associated with the soldier. So we say the pen is mightier than the sword. Litotes. Okay? That is where you use negative to express something. So that is for our lesson today. We've discussed figures of speech. We talked about metaphor, simile, personification, paradox, hyperbole, euphemism, and synecdoche and metonymy. Remember I said there are so many other ones like alliteration, repetition, consonants, assonance, pun, and the rest of them. Also, for you to get also more information on figures of speech, you can use those of you that have exam focus on literature. Please make sure you are studying, okay, during this period. Use it to study more on, get more information on figures of speech. So we have an assignment. Write down the correct figure of speech. Many hands make work light. So that's, I've given you that as an example. Now we have number 1. The hunter heard the hissing of the snake in the bush. Which figure of speech does hissing represent? 2. My friend told me the exam was very easy, even though she could answer only 2 questions out of 10. Okay. 3. The journey was filled with bittersweet experience. 4. She is simply a commercial sex worker. 5. The student was never unhappy. Okay. Thank you for listening. Remember, you have a lot of recommended tests to study. We've been able to work on Buche Mecheta's Second Class Citizens. We've also worked on Invisible Man. Okay, you're supposed to read other ones like the Shakespearean book, Midsummer's Night Dream. Okay, and those recommended poems also. Make sure you are studying them. Please don't relax. Don't while away the time you have. Make sure you are reading. Okay, we are trusting God that any moment from now we'll be called back to resume school. In the meantime, make sure you're praying and stay safe. God bless you.